When I bought my first house many years ago, conditions were really common. You didn't even have to, you needed to know, roughly speaking, if you had your financing lined up, but you still could, once you got to what you thought the price was going to be that you were going to buy that house for, you still had an opportunity to put a few days clause in there that said, subject to getting your financing, knowing the exact price of the house. Quite often it said subject to a home inspection to make sure there was nothing that your eye couldn't see as perhaps an unprofessional home buyer, et cetera. But by the time I sold that house and bought my next property, all that had changed. And my real estate agent advised that if we didn't have our financing lined up, in one case, I actually paid to do a home inspection before offers were being accepted so that I had that peace of mind, because he said, if you put conditions in, your bid is unlikely to win. People wanted certainty, and they had the choice, quite frankly, to be able to accept that certainty, because quite often you were into bidding wars. Story out today that says some of those conditions, some of those sort of escape clauses are making their way back, given how much the market has changed. So I thought it was a good opportunity to touch base with someone who is an expert in the market. That, of course, is Frank Leo from Frank Leo & Associates, broker at RE/MAX. Welcome to the program, Frank.
Hi, Deb. Thanks for inviting me.
So let's start with the notion of conditions. As I said, something that was super common when I first entered the real estate market, something that hasn't been anything that a purchaser could put in if they really wanted to win the house. Are you seeing those conditions come back?
We are seeing conditions of financing and home inspection in offers today, and that's much more common than people think. The one that you're mentioning in the article is the condition on the sale of their current property to buy this property, and that's where the escape clause comes in.
So that is now popping up again. That wasn't even my first house, obviously, I didn't have that need, but I've never been in a situation where that was, in fact, a condition.
Well, what's happening now is that, the cost of housing is quite high, and we often need the money from our current home to buy the new home. And that's why the condition is in there. If there is a question whether we can sell our home for the price that we want, then we'll put that condition in. Now, when you put a condition in on the sale of your property, you have to also insert an escape clause. And that means that the seller of the property you're buying can continue to offer the property for sale. And in the event they get an offer that they find acceptable, they have to, before they accept the new offer, come back to you and give you, depending on your clause, 24 or 48 hours to decide whether you're going to remove the conditions and go forward, or let the property go and they can sell it to the new person.
And if that new person came in with a higher bid, what happens then?
You still have the right to first refusal. So it's up to you whether you want to firm up your deal. That's the way the contract is written. If the new person, is not, gonna have you refuse the offer, then they've lost out on it. If you refuse it, then they can go forward with their deal.
So obviously we know pricing and reluctance to purchase in these economic times. There's a lot of things that are changing in the housing market. This is obviously one of those things. What else are you seeing in the market today in July of 2025 that's different?
Well, these things happen because of uncertainty. And so what you want to get is certainty in the market, and that will give people the clarity to move forward in a proper way. And so, yes, if you're not sure if you can sell your property, you have to put that clause in. What we like to do is have that certainty in place. We have programs that will help our sellers and buyers, and so that way we can move forward. Because one of the things that people don't realize is, if I'm going to accept an offer that's conditional on the sale of someone's home, I'm going to probably want more money for that property than if someone said, I'm going to give you a firm offer cash now with no conditions. So there is a cost for these conditions, even though it's not stated.
And Frank, what are you seeing in terms of the movement? Are houses sitting longer? Where do you find the market these days?
Well, there has been a change, and I think the people who have resisted the change are the ones that are having the most problems. There's more homes on the market. Homes are selling, But of course, the better homes or the better value for homes are selling. And so if you're not prepared to be competitive in the market, then you're not going to be selling your property.
Are you still seeing the notion of we'll accept offers Tuesday at 7 o'clock? Because that was something certainly in our neighborhood that we have seen the last number of years, obviously hoping for a bidding war. The last couple of properties I've looked at personally have had, I'll say, when are they accepting offers? And the answer has been, well, they're not. Is that a change you're seeing?
That's changed because the market has changed. There's so many homes for sale, and the appetite to just pay more, without thought or due process or going crazy, has changed. Buyers are now they have some time to pick the right home, negotiate a better price for them, and that's a good thing, so that they don't have to move again. Because when the market was crazy and people were just bidding, they were buying a price, but they weren't necessarily getting the ideal home for themselves and their family, which would down the road require them to move again. Now you can pick the home that you want, make sure it's sound in terms of the home inspection, buy in the right location so that you're going to get a better property and you don't have to move as often.
So how do you characterize the market today? I mean, we talk about buyers markets, we talk about seller markets. I mean, where do you see it? How do you characterize it as someone who's been in the business for so long?
Well, I think that it's every market, including the stock market and everything else. There's uncertainty. I mean, we have all these economic issues that are facing Canada, not just Toronto, the GTA, or Ontario. I mean, the tariffs are in place. We have people whose jobs are questioning whether they're going to be working where they are. These are scary times in terms of the cost of living. So, you know, when you have that uncertainty, people are on different sides of confidence, and that's what's hurting us today.
Frank Leo from Frank Leo and Associates. He is the broker with Remax. Thanks so much for your time this morning. I'm used to my own show. This morning. Thanks,
Thanks,
Frank.
Deb.
Appreciate
Keep up
it.
the great work.